guys ready to get
Do it then, I will.
Yeah, I know
I'll be
you're
right.
gone. All right, meeting is called to order. Thank you all for being here. Appreciate it. I know we have several guests today and quite the full docket. This first item of business is approval of the minutes. Assume my fellow commissioners have had a chance to review them, and I'd ask for a motion to approve the minutes.
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
The motion is seconded. All those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Very good. Everybody approves the minutes. That's a good thing. Next item of business, resolution number 29909.
Yes, Commissioner, this is an MOU with the Downtown Council related to the maintenance of some downtown streets and boulevards. You have a memo from Forrest Decker that lays out the responsibilities of both Parks and Recreation and the Downtown Council. And I know Forrest is here to answer any questions, and I see Mark Rowlands over there from the Downtown Council. So we recommend approval.
Questions that you might have?
Okay, very good. Are there any questions for us regarding this MOU?
Can you just explain this just a little bit? I mean, there's certain things in there that obviously we'd be doing anyway, and certain things they'd be doing anyway, and I just want to hear your comments on what we're doing.
You're right. It is an agreement just to cooperate on basically the things that we would normally be doing, the things that they would be doing, pool our resources together where necessary, especially in the areas of the landscaping, park maintenance, the trees, things like that, so,
So this has been going on for
since 2007.
2007, so we're doing that for 5.
Yep, it was originally a 5-year agreement. It's now time to redo that, so.
So what are some of the things that we've been working on together in those 5 years that you can mention?
We've done a lot of tree work together, and I'll let Mark throw in anything else that he has to say about it, but we've really worked together on a lot of the tree removals, tree plantings, tree trimmings. We provided training to some of his staff in the past on doing some of the ground-oriented type stuff, so.
Well, this agreement has really been, for us, because we're down there 24/7, well, not 24/7, but we're down there every day. So I think, we look at it as anything that we can do within our scope of services to help out the city, so we're not duplicating services. We're there, we see things, if there's trees that need to be trimmed, rather than call Parks and Rec, we've got crew that have been trained by Parks and Rec that can do that work. So I think it's a good cooperative agreement that we have with the city to just kind of help out the city where we can, but also give our employees, our ambassadors, some ownership of downtown a little bit more than just picking up trash and removing graffiti, so.
Right, yeah.
So,
I think it's a good partnership.
yeah, and it really, for the PIAC, we've had PIAC for the last, PIAC projects for the last 3 years, and then we'll have it for the next three. And it's been really helpful because Parks and Rec has got the stump grinding equipment that we can't rent, can't operate. So it's been a real benefit for us to be able to call up Parks and Rec and say, can you meet us at this location, grind out the spot, and then we can just plop a tree in there as part of our project. So, yeah, I think it's been a great cooperation.
Well, it looks good. I was just curious.
Okay.
Well, it appears to me that this is adaptable, because the downtown is constantly changing. It has in 5 years, and if things that are on the schedule happen, it's going to change more. So I like the adaptability of this, and the fact that it doesn't tie anybody specifically to things, but it's a cooperative living type of document, and I think that's important for this type of agreement.
Really good. Any other questions? All right, thank you very much. Is there a motion to approve the resolution?
So moved.
It's been motioned. Is it seconded?
Second.
All right, motion is seconded. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. All right, very good. Resolution passes. Resolution number 29910.
Yes, Commissioner, this is a lease agreement with the Blue River Watershed Association to use our building called Swope Interpretive Center, 6601 Swope Parkway is the address. It's the large building when you first enter the park off of Meyer and Swope Parkway, and used to be an office building for us, and now we allow this organization and also another organization to use it through a lease agreement. This would be to continue that up through next year. Again, you have a memo for Forrest. If you have any questions, he's here. And a guest also.
Yes, Board, Leslie Alford is here. She would like to, I believe, say a few things about.
I'm the executive director.
You don't mind just from the mic?
That's
Yeah,
correct.
yeah, yeah.
Gotta get you on camera,
Pass these
Leslie.
out.
Yeah.
There's one for each of you. It's just our annual report.
Okay, great.
I'm the executive director of the Blue River Watershed Association. For those of you who may not know, this whole area is part of the Blue River Watershed. We're bi-state. We go from Stillwell, Kansas, up to the Missouri River, through Swope Park, the Blue River, everything that flows into it. We're a nonprofit. We've been around 15 years. We really didn't have stable office space until we started leasing with Parks and Rec. It's a beautiful building. The Swope building's right up the hill. We office there. We use the second floor. We use a lot of equipment, testing equipment, hot kits, such like that. So it's very nice to have the open space. We have a 14-member board of directors, so we meet there once a month. And we have other stakeholder meetings, committee meetings. BRWA has grown tremendously in the last few years. We do a lot throughout the metro. Water is becoming a very important issue. We're very spoiled because we have great water here in Kansas City, but we need to keep it that way. And so we do a lot of education. The EPA requires cities, including Kansas City, Missouri Water Services, to have education programs in order to have their non-point source pollution permits, the storm drains. And so that's a majority of what we do. It's just educating folks about water quality, and how to take care of it. We're very grateful for this opportunity to use that space. As you can see, we don't have a large budget. We reach thousands of kids with that small budget, and without a very manageable rent, it would be very difficult. Most grants don't want to pay for overhead, and so this enables us to use a lot more money for programs. And so we're very grateful. It's also very centrally located. We are now educating out in Lake Lotawana, East Jackson County, all the way out to KCK. And so we hit the entire metro, but Swope is a very nice location for us, and we're very grateful for the opportunity.
Very good, thank you. Any questions? All right, seeing none, is there a motion to approve the resolution?
So moved.
It's a motion, and is there a second?
Second.
Okay, motion is seconded. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Very good, resolution passes. Resolution number 29911.
Yes, Commissioners, another agreement with a long-serving agency by the name of Greenworks, Kansas City. This is for programs at the Brush Creek Community Center. You have a memo in your packet from Mark Boland outlining the scope involved, and there again, this would continue the agreement up through the early part of 2013. If you have any questions, Mark is here to answer those.
Are there any questions of Mark at this time? I think we're good. Thank you, Mark. Hate to have you
Good
get
memo.
up. We were just trying to
Yeah.
make sure you got your exercise for the afternoon, that's it. So, is there a motion to approve the resolution?
So moved.
Is there a motion, and is there a second?
Second.
Motion and seconded. Is any further discussion? Seeing none? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Very good. Resolution passes. Resolution number 29912.
Yes, Commissioners, we had talked earlier about taking the big step and
Yeah.
doing the assessment of our Park and Boulevard system for the National Registry, and through an RFQ, RFP process, and through that process, selected the Architectural and Historical Research Firm, LLC. You have a memo in your packet from Travis, and we recommend approval of the contract. I see Sid Milstein, who's the owner of that company, standing up, and so she may have a question or a comment to be answered, and otherwise, if you have any other questions, Travis is here also.
Very good. Any questions at this time?
I'd
Come on,
like-
Sid, just come on out. We'd love to
I'd
hear
like
about
to hear a
this.
little bit more about it.
Yeah.
Well, as you know, we have probably one of the most important park systems, certainly the City Beautiful movement park system in the, is this on?
Yes,
In the
yes.
United States, designed by George Kessler. And I think that this is, I believe that this is not only, a triumph for Kansas City to be able to put this, his park system on the register, and certainly to focus on the 1893 plan. And like I said, it's not only important for Kansas City, but for the rest of the nation, because this is where Kessler got his start. And his plan for Kansas City, was hailed in 1917 by the AIA as one of the greatest plans, to come out of any city. So this is a golden opportunity, something I personally have been waiting for about 30 years, which I told the park board. So I'm very excited about it. And it is quite a process. It's a 3-step process. There's the first process is to go out in the field and to field verify what's already been surveyed, make sure we've caught everything. Then to write the multiple property submission, which is a very lengthy tome, and it has to be reviewed not only by staff and by the board, but then goes on to the Landmarks Commission, and then on to the State Historic Preservation Office and to the Missouri Council, and eventually to the National Park Service. And then there's a third part, which is writing a National Register nomination for Kessler's 1893 plan. So that the multiple property submission is literally a springboard for the Parks and Recreation Department in the future to use that document in order to nominate any park within that system that the multiple property submission covers. So you're getting a lot of bang for your buck, for the present and for the future. And, my team, with PJ and, are very excited about this. It's going to be great.
Questions at this time? All right.
I just think this is great. I'm excited to see this moved here. So.
So I'm sorry, I don't know all the information.
No,
but,
no.
So this is putting the system itself up to be in the registry. Is that right? Or,
Well,
what-
it's the multiple property submission is literally a cover document, but the cover document itself will have beginning and end dates, and we're going to start with the 1893 plan and then go up through 1965, which will be a cutoff date that is recognized by the National Park Service. So it will set up, if you will, documentation that in the present and in the future, you can use that multiple property documentation in order to nominate single sites or boulevards or like Loose Park, for instance. It'll all be within that document. The document, the MPS itself, doesn't nominate anything, but it sets up the research and platform, if you will, to, again, in the present, which will do the 1893 plan, and then maybe 2 years down the road, 3 years down the road, you want to nominate another portion of the system to the register. You have that document, and if whatever you're nominating fits within the registration requirements as outlined in the MPS, I know it gets, kind of complicated, then it's really it sets up a very simple platform for future work.
Okay, I guess I
Does
don't.
that-
No, I don't really understand it, but what exactly, we're to end up with this, the product of this multi-property document?
Yeah.
Is that going to be the end result of the work?
No.
Okay.
The MPS, when that gets passed, will ensure the Parks and Rec Department and the board in the city of Kansas City, Missouri, that there will be a registration requirement in order for any consultant, that knows how to nominate to the National Register of Historic Places a park or boulevard that fits the historical context and the physical description of what is recorded in the MPS. So after we finish the MPS, we're going to nominate Kessler's initial system, the 1893 system.
okay.
So you'll not only get, it's really 3 parts. You'll not only get a field verification of what's already been surveyed, and, we can kind of make that in a nice, neat, and tidy packet. You'll get the MPS, which is really kind of the bulk of, the scope and fees of this project. And then the third portion of this project will be to nominate the 1893 plan.
Okay.
So you will get, those 3 very vital components that make it easy in the future to nominate,
Another part of
any
the system.
part or parts of the system.
All right,
Does that make sense?
it does. I appreciate it.
It gets sometimes it's even hard to describe, the MPS, so.
I appreciate you taking the time to do it.
Any other comments?
I guess
Question?
this is just indicative of Kansas City hiding its light under a bushel for so many years. And I'm glad to see us bringing it forward and getting the kind of publicity and the kind of recognition that this park system should have.
Well, I know that there are people, in national seats, so to speak, that are very excited about this. When we finished, and I don't want to take up your time, but when we finished the second phase of surveying the parks and boulevard system up, I think it was through 1940, because there's a 50-year cutoff point. So we did that in 1990. The process itself was written up. I wrote the article for CRM, that Parks National Park Service publication, and that was probably in, I can't remember, Mark, do you remember? It was in maybe 93 or 94, but they were excited about it back then. So,
Well, we have that book reflecting that time, too.
right,
That blue book,
right.
kind of thick blue
Yep.
book. It's kind of
Legacy of design.
It is, it's great.
the spring.
And
book of this.
what's funny about that is I've actually just gone back and started to read it again,
Yeah.
the beginning part, and it's just sort of, because I saw this was coming on. the
Right.
agenda, To get a little bit of sort of context of what we're sort of talking about. And to think about the thought that went into sort of the plan, even prior to the 1893 plan, sort of the formation of the parks and how it got funded and the system in and of itself. And so this is fantastic that we're sort of moving towards that end once again.
Yeah, it's exciting.
It is
And I learned about, of course, Sid worked with us on the Liberty Memorial. We started out from scratch there and went through the same process through the local landmarks commission, ultimately went to SHPO and got the state approval. And then she and I were in Washington DC. We took the Liberty Memorial there. Actually already got got it registered as a National Historic Landmark. So it's through the National Trust for Historic Preservation stuff. So it's a process. It's, I think, 18 months is going to take to do
Well,
that.
it's just really a short period of time in which to accomplish these three tasks, but so much of the groundwork has been done. And I'm so familiar, as is PJ and his firm, with the system that, I don't see too many hiccups coming along.
Okay. Well, thank you very much.
Sure, thank you.
Is there a motion to approve the resolution?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
And motion seconded. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Resolution number 29913.
Yes, Commissioners, this is an agreement with the Downtown Neighborhood Association for a Better Block AC event. Shannon, what is this?
Good afternoon, Commissioners.
Hello, hello.
This is 1.5 day event. It's going to start this Friday. Downtown Neighborhood Association is putting on this event. Thomas Morefield is here to give the event some justice, because I won't even tell you all the neat aspects of it. But basically, the Grand Boulevard between 16th and 17th will be down to one lane, north and south. And I'll let Thomas explain to you about this event.
Thank you. I'm Thomas Morefield with the Downtown Neighborhood Association. Thanks for hearing me this afternoon. What we would like to do is transform one block of Grand Boulevard for about one day to show how it could be a livable, green, walkable street, a complete street. So this event is part block party, it's part living demonstration. It'll involve physical transformations to the street, including trees, landscaping, lighting, crosswalks, bike lanes, furniture, and other installations, but also, and equally important, trying to make the street a little bit more lively and demonstrate what Grand Boulevard could look like. So artists, performers, local vendors, pop-up businesses, and all of them using this beautified streetscape to demonstrate how it could look. And the event's really focused around the First Friday's event, and hopefully can build on the excitement and momentum from that. So we're really excited about this for a few reasons. First, we think it inspires people when they actually see what the street could look like. It brings front and center what a better designed streetscape could mean. it's really been amazing to see the partnerships that have come together behind this project. We work for organizations like Bike Walk KC, who advocate for bicycle and pedestrian interests, Cultivate KC, a community gardening organization, worked with the KCATA, we worked with Kansas City Design Center and their students, worked with Kansas State Landscape Architecture Program and their students, and all of these organizations who are passionate about making downtown and downtown streets better places are all working with us to kind of interpret what a better street could look like. And hopefully, this builds momentum and support for the city's own Making Grand plan. And there's many elements in what we're doing that directly pull from that, including a bidirectional bikeway, including a reduction of traffic lanes and improved landscaping and other features. So that's a summary of what we're doing. I'd be happy to answer any questions you may have.
So how are you going to set this up?
So the setup would be Friday morning, starting after morning rush hour, so around 10 a.m. And we would begin with setting out traffic control equipment. So we have found a traffic control contractor who will provide us the equipment and has submitted a traffic control plan to the Public Works Department in order to kind of merge 2 lanes of traffic down to 1 lane of traffic. And within that closed off zone, we will have staged deliveries of the different elements between basically 10 and 2 or 3 p.m. mid-afternoon, when we hope to be up and running and ready for the first Friday guests.
So I mean, you like bringing in some trees and shrubs
Right.
and
So there'll be a few large
fields?
trucks coming in, dropping off. A local nursery has provided us 14 large trees, which they'll be bringing in and dropping off. Another one has provided us with 500 one-gallon plants. We're going to completely transform what the street's going to look like. And we have a lot of volunteers with pickup trucks and other things like that who are over the course of the day there are going to be moving in and setting up, but all within the zone that is blocked off from traffic, and so that traffic operations on the street won't be impacted. We're never closing Grand Boulevard, and all of the signage and safety equipment will be up there before we start doing anything.
Right. And so where is this on Grand?
So,
16th. And what's the reason you chose right there?
so a couple reasons. The one side of the street is a surface parking lot right now, and the other street is mostly vacant. There's a few businesses there. So we thought this was a part of Grand that could use some sprucing up. But it's also a block where there aren't any existing bus stops. There's no retail businesses that we're going to be impacting, et cetera. So we wanted to make sure that we were helping people, not hurting people.
I think it's a good idea. It's a great idea. Yeah.
Being a visual person, this kind of gives me a ability to take a look at what Making Grand would look like. And I think it's a tremendous mock-up and a tremendous idea and a great publicity for that project. Thank you very much.
Best of luck.
Thanks.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, is there a motion to approve the resolution?
So moved.
This is a motion, is there a second?
Second.
Motion seconded. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Very good, resolution passes. Resolution number 29914.
Okay, now it's time to talk about beehives.
Yes.
And hi, Jared. Hi. How you doing? Tell us about beehives.
Okay, the condensed version. Bees pollinate a third of our food. You've probably heard some stories in the news about their decline, colony collapse disorder. It's just sort of one of the things that has befallen them, all sorts of other ailments, et cetera. And as a third-generation beekeeper and artist and designer, I teach 3D design at UMKC. I saw a way to take a new approach to address this problem. And it involves targeting wild honeybee populations versus the domesticated honeybee populations that are most often commercially kept. There is some debate as to whether or not these should be considered separate species at all or not. They're not separate species. There have been shown by one of my advisors to be some important genetic differences between the two, though. And essentially what's happened is over time, you've had a strain of honeybee, several strains of honeybees that have basically been bred for certain characteristics. And these characteristics have included things like the amount of honey they gather, producing less propolis, which is this sticky antimicrobial glue kind of substance they use inside the hive, things that are sort of very convenient for the beekeeper. And as we've gotten better and better at creating bees with these characteristics, we've started to lose sight of maybe one that's now something that we should be taking more consideration of, which is just the bee's ability to survive on their own as a species unaided. Right now, most bees that are kept are medicated to stay alive against these various threats that they face. They live a rather difficult sort of commercial, they're used as a commercial pollinator basically, and they face things like pesticides on their crops. They face things like shipping back and forth across the country, a lot of different stressors. And what I've done is I've tried to design a program basically which is going to remove a lot of these stressors from their existence, as well as focus on these wild bee strains, of which there are maybe like, this is not a solid number, but between like 10 and 20% surviving still in the wild after all this, after all these mass deaths, and to look at them and to say, why are these bees alive? How come these bees are living without being medicated? And what's important here? I've partnered with a couple very good researchers at various universities who are all interested in looking into exactly this phenomenon. And based on a lot of their research, I came up with a design which is both public art and a way to educate the population, park-going population, et cetera, kind of to the problems, and also a way to create a very large nationwide control group study of sorts, which the results of and the information and the data gathered from will be made available to university researchers around the world. And what this means is if I were to be able to set up 1,000 of these hives, which are pictured here, it's on top of this 16-foot tall white steel post. The hive on top is actually made out of white corian. If I were able to install 1,000 of these across the country, each one is a node for crowdsourcing, data gathering, very simple questions on what's going on with this hive at the moment. Is it alive? When was it placed there? Where did the swarm come from that was placed in this hive, et cetera? We can start to map essentially the health of these bees and monitor them long term and begin to isolate where there might be pockets of bees that are proving to be very resilient, how those bees might be best suited for the areas in which they live, best suited to live within the stressors of that region, and then maybe how we can get those bees integrated into those areas, breeding programs. And the gist of the idea is that these bees won't be medicated in any way to survive. It'll be just like the bees who are living wild in the nature. This is essentially just creating a habitat for them. But it's creating a habitat that's all the same, so it's uniform. It's been optimized for everything that they're looking for in a place to live, and it's been created in a way that will be safe for public locations and durable for decades to come without requiring maintenance. So the idea is once this network is set up, each one of these nodes will start to feed its information into this basically this large growing graph, and we can watch and learn, and citizens can become involved. And the way that they'll feed the data in is through QR codes on the plaques at each station. If you're interested, you show up, you click your smartphone on the QR code, you get taken to the website where you can learn about why this is there. You can answer a few key questions and contribute, and then it'll just continue to grow and amass knowledge, basically. This one here is at the DST Urban Farm, which is at 18th and Broadway. I received a grant to build this prototype, and they were a natural choice for me. I wanted it to be in an urban setting. They were happy to have it. It's been really well received by the public. Got some really nice critical press, both here and nationally. And I've met with John McGurk to discuss the project, as well as Parks Department officials. And I wanted to find a way to basically partner with the city so that as I get funding to build these and fabricate them, I can ask the city to partner with me to actually take care of the installation, because on a larger scale, ideally I'd like to install, say, 20 of these around the greater metropolitan area. That would be between the Kansas and Missouri sides. And if I could rely on the city and their equipment and manpower to dig a hole, pour the concrete footing, and put up the post, it's going to make it a lot more feasible for me, and hopefully will establish a model that I can use to export this to other cities and grow the network around the country.
Questions, comments?
So what would we be responsible for?
You would be responsible for, I'll be responsible for fabricating all the materials and the
Okay.
hive and everything itself in the post, and I would be asking the city to be responsible for digging the hole
Okay.
where there's a concrete footing poured, using the anchor bolts that I supply to go into the footing, and then simply erecting the post on top of those bolts. It's very similar to setting up a street light.
Okay.
And then I would place the hive itself on top, using the assistance of a Parks Department cherry picker or bucket lift or something like that.
What is it made of?
The post itself is made out of powder-coated steel, so it's
Okay.
really, really durable. The hive on top is made out of Corian, which is a solid surface plastic material that's often used for countertops. It's incredibly durable. This is especially rated for outdoor use. It's often used in building cladding and outdoor furniture, parks furniture, and things like that. So it never has to be painted. If after a few years it starts to get dirty or soot on it or bird manure or whatever, it's very easy just to wash it off, and then it looks like new again, but it doesn't really require any sort of maintenance. Inside that, because bees like wood, is a wooden box that the bees live in. It's protected from the elements by this Corian shell, and that's all bolted to the top of the post.
How many bees are going to be living there?
Your average beehive is going to have somewhere around 30,000 bees in it. This one is a little bit smaller than average, because actually when bees are looking for a new home site, they have a sort of a sweet spot that they triangulate in on, which is a 40-liter cavity. So this is going to be a little less than that. This might be somewhere around 15 to 20,000 bees.
And you say you're going to do the insurance. Is that for the structure itself, or?
No, the Parks Department asked me to carry an insurance policy that would be listing the Parks Department as additionally insured against in the event that somebody were to sue the city for getting stung by bees.
Okay.
I would be asking the Parks Department to insure the post itself just the same way they insure any other big steel post that they erect.
Okay.
There's not really a lot that could go wrong with it. It's a very solid steel post that's bolted to a big piece of concrete.
Oh, I'm more worried about the bees.
Sure. Okay. I've been doing some research into it, and I did find this one here is on my normal commercial policy that I carried to cover my art studio as I grow the network, and concerns like this come up. I found a company out of Texas that specializes in working with beekeepers, because beekeepers do truck thousands of honeybees across the country every season to pollinate crops. So they provide coverage for that sort of event. I would mention, though, that I think it's very difficult to find somebody who provides that coverage, and I think the reason is because, as far as what I've read, there have only been 2 cases ever in the United States of somebody trying to sue someone for getting stung by a honeybee. One of them was in 1911, and I think that was the only one that was won at first, because a commercial beekeeper had hired an immigrant laborer to work on his bees, and it turns out he was allergic, and he got stung. and the guy never claimed, never informed him of the dangers of being a beekeeper or whatever, and it was later overturned. Since then, there have been no, I guess there's only been one other time that it was ever brought, and I guess that was thrown
Where
out
in
of
the
court.
park, and why is it this park that you chose, or what?
This one right here, the first one?
No,
The one that I
these-
want to do next?
Yes.
The donor who is funding this hive, he was very taken with my piece I installed here at DST Garden. And if I can just speak to why I installed it there first, I wanted to install on a site that would sort of really test all the limits of being in a high-traffic location. So it's testing the limits of the public, being exposed to the kind of wind that we get here, and like storm season, et cetera, being exposed to extreme temperatures and all this kind of stuff. So I put it here in this very exposed location, and it's done very well. The location near the Kaufman Memorial Garden is a favorite spot of the donor, and I also I spoke to the horticulturalist at the garden. He's very excited to have it nearby for educational purposes, et cetera. It's right near it's at the end of the long stretch of lawn behind the Nelson Museum, and it just seems like a very appropriate spot. It's nestled in a nice little area of trees right next to the garden there. And I included, I don't know if you saw a picture of it, but I did include a map.
I don't have that,
Okay. It's,
or maybe I do.
it's basically
Oh,
just
it's
off
here.
of Brush Creek.
Okay, no. Hmm. Sorry.
Well, it is a high-traffic area. That building just to the north of it is Alta Vista Middle School.
Yes.
And we have not heard any complaints about bees infiltrating
Attacking
our middle
children.
school.
You would never even know it's there. You'd be surprised the number of people who I mentioned that, oh, that's yours? You built, that's a beehive? Oh, I come at that park all the time. I never knew. The thing about the height is bees make a beeline to wherever it is they're going to pollinate plants, and their range is up to 3 miles away. So in this case, they could be going half a mile away to a flowering tree somewhere. They don't linger where they live. They don't really hang out outside the hive for any reason. Either they're in there or they're on their way to wherever they're going.
I've seen the bee movie, but I don't.
So having it at that height means two things. One, 16 feet is actually the height at which bees begin to prefer to find their ideal natural nests, which would be in hollow tree branches, et cetera. And it's also a height that's high enough to keep them physically well away from people, but still low enough that people can watch them and sort of be enchanted by their coming and going in and out of the hive.
It's fascinating.
How successful has this hive been?
Well, nothing is being harvested from the hive, so there's no honey being gathered or anything like this. Essentially what all this is like, it's like a birdhouse for bees. So it's
There
been,
is a population.
yes, there's been a population in this hive for the past year and a half. I did a test this summer with, this hive has some new designs to it. It's not like your conventional hive. A couple of those new designs include 2 entrances. And the top entrance, I was playing with the size of the hole, basically to get this optimal airflow, insulation, all this kind of stuff. And this summer, I was actually out of town for most of the summer. And when the summer began, I set a very small hole. I left a very small hole there that I had set up for the winter to see, how they did with that size of, hole for ventilation, et cetera. And the hive did incredibly well. They overwintered really well. They were a wild hive that I collected from a call from, I'm on call list, so if someone calls like the Nature Center, they get my number, I go and collect them and I put them in the hive. So I started from a raw swarm. I put it in here, they built it out really well. Their numbers are great. Unfortunately, this summer with the intense heat and the lack of water, and possibly by testing this smaller hive entrance, they perished. But that's all kind of part of the larger picture, basically, is these bees in the wild will live, on average, a colony will survive anywhere from 3 to 5 years, if all goes well. At any given point during that time, the colony can succumb to either disease or mites, or the queen could get eaten by a bird on her mating flight, and then, game over. All these various things can happen, but I inspected the inside of the hive, and I was very pleased with what had gone on inside. They really built it out to the maximum. They used the space how I hoped they had. It stayed dry inside, which is part of the ventilation system. It was extremely healthy looking inspection. So the way this should work going forward is next spring, when bees in the area form wild swarms, this will act as what's called a bait hive. So as they're looking for a new place to live, scout bees will come, they'll poke around rooftops, hollow tree branches, this place, etc. And having had bees living in here before, they like that. They like that there's honeycomb in there. They like that it's the right size. And what should happen is, as the years go by, a new swarm will move in, just like birds would move into a birdhouse, live there for the duration of their colony's healthy existence, and then if they die the following year, a new swarm should move in. As I'm on call lists to collect swarms from people's front yards or whatever, as I collect the swarms and populate the new hives I build, if one is empty and I have a swarm and a new swarm hasn't moved in naturally, I can repopulate it with that. But by all measures, really, I have another 3 of these right now, including the one that's meant to go up at the Memorial Garden in my apiary, and they're all doing very well. I collected them similarly. They made it through the summer and the lack of water and all this stuff quite well. So I think I've got the proper hole sizes dialed in. I'm already seeing some very encouraging differences between working with these wild bees and working with conventional domestically bred bees, which is that, and this is kind of a technicality, but as I mentioned before, we've bred out this notion of propolis collecting from bees, which is a tree resin they collect and they line the inside of their hives with it because we don't like how sticky it is when we take the honey out. On all of these new hives that I've populated with bees, they've begun to manage their entrances, their entrance holes, the way you often see wild bees doing it, which is by building these propolis curtains, and they expand and contract the size of the entrance to regulate the airflow to keep it just how they like it. I've never once seen that happen on my domestically raised bees that I buy in packages. So this is a very encouraging development. That material is also antimicrobial, which I theorize, along with other people, that the more of that you have in the hive, the higher their resistance is to diseases and things like that. So,
Well, great. Well, what an exciting project.
Fascinating.
And thank you for the education. That was
yeah.
fantastic. Is there going to be a quiz afterwards? I don't know.
The answers will all be on the website.
Okay,
So
very
open
good.
note, open note test.
That's good. Open test. There you go. Very good. Well, thank you very much. Are there any other questions, comments? All right.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Is there a motion to approve the resolution?
So moved.
All right, is there a second?
Second.
Motion seconded. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Very good. Resolution passes. Resolution number 29915.
Yes, Commissioners, this is an amendment with Lochner Company, engineering firm, for work at the intersection of Benton Boulevard and Independence Boulevard. It's laid out in the memo from Travis Kiefer. This will extend the scope of the time for the contract up until May 31st of 2013. Continue to support the MBWB goals as set by the HRD department, and recommend approval. Again, if you have any questions, Travis is here.
Very good. Is there any questions of Travis?
This was one of our PIAC projects
Yes.
we presented, wasn't it?
Yes, it
Yeah.
was.
It was very well designed and much needed, and the way that intersection is set up, and I think this is well worth doing.
Okay, very good. Is there a motion to approve the resolution?
Yeah, so moved. Yes.
Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Very good. Motion seconded. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Very good. Resolution passes. Resolution number 29916.
Yes, Commissioners, change order number 2 with Mega Industries, 2012 citywide play area improvements. Again, you have Mel from Travis, lays out a variety of items, about 4 or 5 different locations. Some are negative numbers, some are positive numbers. At the end of the day, it's a $24,732 increase in their contract. Extends the completion time until January 9th of 2013. Again, if you have any questions beyond that, Travis is here to answer.
Any questions of Travis in regards to this change order? All right, seeing none, is there a motion to approve the resolution?
So moved.
All right, is there a second?
Second.
Motion seconded. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Very good. Resolution passes. Director's report.
Major construction, Travis.
Good afternoon, Commissioners. Today, I'd like to go over some of the awards that have been presented to staff for some of the projects that they've been involved in, the first of which is one of the environmental awards presented by the KC Environmental Commission, it's a 16-member commission, for work on the Brush Creek feasibility study. We had 2 members on that team, Jimmy Lossing and Bill Fessler, that were Parks employees. Second,
We got to take a picture of this one first.
We're taking a picture of it, yeah.
That's what we do.
Wait. Not
Did you get?
No, sorry, I'm sorry.
Get a second. Steve, you got to stand up in the back and be like that. So we can take a picture.
Got it.
Catch it back.
McLean's gonna make you famous on Twitter.
the second of which was work on the Blue River Channel from 53rd to 63rd Street, and that included the Byram's Ford area. Scott Overbay, Steve Abbott, and Richard Allen were members of that committee, and these were awards presented in about mid-August by the Kansas City Environmental Management Commission. Next of which, I'll make sure that,
Travis, quick question. Alan and Dave want to know if they could take one of these home.
Oh, what?
that'd be purely up to the director.
Oh, did I just say that? I'm sorry.
Well, we could probably submit you for an award next year, right? Probably, environmental.
Those are beautiful. Those are beautiful photographs, yes.
Absolutely.
Congratulations on the awards.
You heard a little bit about the Parkway and Boulevard system earlier from
Yes.
Ms. Milstein about the granting of the historic registry and that sort of thing, and getting on that registry. This will be announced tomorrow, that APA, the American Planning Association, has recognized Ward Parkway as a great street. And there's only 10 streets in the U.S. that get this designation every year. We're in great company with this award. The streets selected this year, other than Ward Parkway, were Duval Street in Key West, Main Street, Bozeman, Montana, Broadway in Saratoga Springs, Fifth Avenue in New York, Wall Street in New York, Shaker Boulevard in Ohio, Grant Street in Pittsburgh, Broad Street in Charleston, and Gay Street in Knoxville, Tennessee. So we are under an embargo. We're not allowed to disclose this to any news agency or send it out on Twitter until midnight tonight.
12:01. She'll
12:01 tonight.
send it out.
And at which the news release will go out, and we do have
next time I'm down.
we do have bronze plaques that will be ordered, and we'll have an event scheduled when those plaques come in. So
Was it,
And-
did we submit for this, or did they just choose?
Yes, Ann McFerrin, who just stepped in just a minute ago, and I prepared about a 20-page application form that went in describing why Ward Parkway should be considered a great street, and that was used as part of this justification and selection process, so.
Fantastic.
So what are we doing to market our award and ourselves?
Woodard.
I'll let,
Talk about that next. Yeah.
I'll let I describe that. Yeah, right, this will go out on the KMBZ tomorrow. I already did a interview on this. The newspapers will release this. I think Steve has Channel 5
Great.
interview on this. So
That's
all
fantastic.
of which will be released tomorrow.
Yeah.
That's great.
And the other part of it is, we were going to do something, we were hoping to get someone here from APA to actually present us the award.
Correct.
And had that worked out, we were going to have a press conference tomorrow, 11 o'clock, on the site. That person wasn't able to be here, so we're not going to have that tomorrow, because we'll be presenting the award to ourselves.
Way to go.
So what we're going to do is we're going to have a bronze plaque that's also being fabricated. So at some date in the future, maybe, I don't know, say a month away.
November
6
or
weeks
something
whatever,
like that,
We'll
yeah.
actually
That's right.
meet out on
Great.
Ward Parkway and put the bronze
Good.
plaque out on the parkway, and then we'll have a media event that time. So we'll kind of get a sight.
Yeah, this is a big thing. We
Yeah,
should-
it's a real big deal. Heidi and I talked with Danny Rodart over at the community center earlier and brought him into the loop on this, so he's aware of it, so the mayor's office has knowledge about it. Also, our own city planning development department, Bob Langenkamp, who chairs that department, is pretty excited about this too, and his staff. So, and then, of course, that gets the city communication department involved too. So it's it goes beyond parks. Obviously, it's a parks issue, but it goes beyond parks to the mayor and the city council.
Yeah, that's great.
That's good.
I mean, it ties very well into the work that Sid's doing and.
Yeah, it
and her
ties into
group.
Sid's stuff.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and even Dennis said too, Dennis from Corporate Communications, about, this talks about the value of boulevards and parkways in Kansas City, which kind of helps sell our story about boulevard and parkways being built in other parts of the city.
Right.
The city of boulevards and parkways. Steve, you had
Well,
something?
the only thing I was going to add was that those folks who have, in the past and are currently supporting
Yes.
the maintenance of Ward Parkway, this will be music to their ears.
Oh, sure.
And should make it, much easier to continue to get money. Hope.
Yeah, it's just
These
great.
people are gonna
with
be
our sales
elated
tax
now.
right now to tout.
Cut the
this.
cost and
Yes.
get the recognition.
Put the front foot back.
Now they can do
Yeah.
some voluntary.
That's great, congratulations.
Yeah,
Fantastic.
thank you.
Okay. Thank you, Travis.
Thank you, Travis.
That brings up
Very much.
Heidi.
The fountains are pink.
What?
The fountains are pink.
I know, I'm wearing my pink.
So it's real fun.
Yes, did you see the west side while you were over there
Okay, there's what we're all doing.
today?
No, I didn't.
Yeah.
Oh, Children's Fountain is our fountain.
Good, good. Yes, as Commissioner Dillingham mentioned, it is Pink Fountain, or Pink Fountain Week, I guess, for 10 days. We have 8 fountains that are running pink in honor of Breast Cancer Awareness Month. And those are J.C. Nichols Fountain, the Concourse, Myers Circle, Northland, Spirit of Freedom Fountain, West Side, Women's Leadership Fountain, and Children's Fountain. And this, of course, is a partnership with the University of Kansas Cancer Center that has been going on for quite a few years now. So this is the last color the fountains are going to be this season, because fountain season will be coming to an end at the end of this month. So I'm passing around some of the community center brochures. As you do recall, we did our marketing a little bit differently this time by developing individualized brochures for each of the 10 community centers and then direct mailing them to the residents within a mile and a half of the centers. 50,000 or so have gone out. And then we do have some overruns as well that we are distributing to libraries, boys and girls clubs, and just typically how we normally do distribute them. So we've gotten some really good feedback on the fact that people are getting them in their hands in the mail. I don't know if any of you happen to be on the carrier routes that took them around, but 50,000 people were. So I want to thank Jesse, and Mark Boland's community services staff, who adhered to the deadlines and turned these 10 brochures around within about a 2-week period. So it was very intense. Jesse designed them all individually, and it was a huge team effort to make sure the information is correct. So hopefully it is.
Job well done.
Anyway, thank you also to those of you who came out for the news conference today. We had a really good turnout with the media. Everyone, clearly interested in what we're doing now. That question 1 has passed. So thanks for doing that, as well as the couple of you that made it out to the water fire announcement yesterday on the plaza. As you know, water fire is a partnership that we do with the Brush Creek Partners, and it will take place on October the 27th. And the rain date is November the 3rd. Hopefully, we won't have to worry about that this year. The October e-calendar of events was just mailed out or emailed out yesterday. Hopefully, you got that. You can tell we have October and May are 2 of our biggest months when it comes to activities in our parks and our centers. So there is a lot of diversity, a lot of exciting things going on. So post that or retweet that, Commissioner McLean. She's doing it right now, I'm sure.
Gotta watch, she's quick.
And I know we never get tired of awards because we've got a couple more awards that we just recently won. I don't know if did you bring those out or show them?
On the table,
These are from the Convention and Visitors Association Visitors' Choice Awards. Only people who live outside of a 50-mile radius of Kansas City can vote on this. Actually, they decide who the finalists are, nominate the finalists, and then go ahead and vote on these as well. So Mark and I were at an event the other evening where we directly received 2 awards. Favorite fountain, of course, the J.C. Nichols Fountain. 2nd year in a row that we've taken that award. And, of course, we're really just competing against ourselves in that category. So if we lose, there were other fountains, you're right.
Shoko.
Yes, there were. And then we won, for the first time, favorite golf course with the Swope Memorial.
That's nice.
So
Did you talk about it too?
I just did, so.
Did you talk about the fountain?
I did. Favorite fountain, favorite golf course.
Basketball, who's our competition?
Yeah.
And then somebody reminded me, well,
So much to
Crown
tweet about.
Center.
There was another one on the smaller one on the plaza, and I think the only other one that we directly was Meyer Circle.
Because there's a lot of good golf courses in this city.
But that was really exciting to win the golf course
Well,
one,
and Shoal
so.
Creek was second on that list, too.
Yeah. Some of our other partners, of course, concert live music venue, Starlight won, and Kids Attraction, the Kansas City Zoo, and the National World War I Museum won favorite museums. So we kind of spread ourselves around there, and everybody took home an award. Yeah, the Irish Fest
Yeah,
did.
Irish Living Memorial, all that, yeah. So,
Yep. So that was an exciting time for us. And then also I did talk to the Convention and Visitors Association communications manager while we were there and told them about our secret award that will be announced tomorrow. And they're very excited about that as well. And they plan on promoting the fact that Ward Parkway has been named a great street after 1201 today. So I'm going to end my report so that Steve Lampone can go get to his interview. That's going to be shown on Channel 5 tomorrow morning about Ward Parkway.
Sheila Kemper Dietrich Park.
Oh, yeah, sorry, I missed down here. We do have a dedication scheduled for the renovations that have been taking place, which is our ADA accessible park, Sheila Kemper Dietrich Park, there over on Gillum and, what is
Was
the,
that 27?
27 to Gilman.
20.
27, yeah.
okay, 26th, 27th. And that will be taking place on October the 25th at 10 o'clock in the morning. And Sheila Kemper Dietrich herself will be here for that.
She will, but I might mention in that prior change order that was approved on playgrounds, the item on there for doing the final work at the playground, I think was about 15, 16, that was Sheila's foundation's actually paying
Donation.
for that. So we appreciate her efforts in making that happen.
Yeah,
She'll
that's
be
a
here
neat
for the
park.
20 She'll be here on the 25th.
Mhm.
Right, okay.
And this is a tremendous park in its proximity to Ronald McDonald House.
Yeah.
Oh, it
And
is.
Children's Mercy.
Oh, just even that neighborhood. When you see that park gets used a lot,
That's great.
all the time.
Yeah.
Great, looking forward to it.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay,
Lawyer, I advise against it.
the much anticipated discussion on the
All right.
2012-2013 budget.
Do we need a drum roll?
Well, I'm sorry. Good afternoon, Commissioners.
Good afternoon.
I'm sorry our bee fella isn't here because I was going to say we've been busy as bees working on our budget. Well, we've just about completed, our revenue projections are all complete. Our base budget, that is current service level, if we're just projecting what we need to do what we're doing right now, for next fiscal year, that's just about all in the bag. The thing we're still kind of crunching on is our enhanced services, and what we'd like to do is have a draft budget to the director and deputy director by the end of this week. We're still waiting on a few numbers from finance that are kind of city allocated numbers for insurances and a variety of other expenses. We don't quite have those yet. We're a little ahead of the game. But we're going to go ahead with our estimates of those so that we can just move forward. We'd like to give the director and deputy director all next week to cuss and discuss with us about what we've put together, what we've worked together, and get some redirection possibly from them, get some direction on where we should go. So we're looking at, kind of having a budget on Mark's desk Friday, and then meeting and discussing all next week with regard to this, and possibly going back to the drawing board while he's gone at NRPA, kind of revamping. But we hope when everybody gets back to town, we'll be ready to start budget meetings with you all. And we'll just take whatever time we need to get through that. And what we're looking at is presenting to you our revenue projections and our base budget, and then giving you some options for how we implement everything we can afford to put in terms of enhanced services. So,
It's exciting.
sound good?
That's fun
Yeah.
part.
Yeah, we're looking forward to see that
Right.
information. Is
There's
there anything right now, Mark, that you need from us?
Well, I think if you could be thinking like Sherry said, we're gonna get a baseline budget, which, when we say baseline, is pretty much kind of like, keeping the doors open and paying the light
Right.
bills and paying the ongoing, a lot of
Right.
fixed costs, and some things that are probably pretty clear we want to continue to do. But
Right.
we do have some choices as far as enhanced services.
Right.
We're looking at some stuff from the Citizen Satisfaction Survey to kind of develop a few of those. We're also getting feedback from the community, whether it was out on our campaign trail getting some feedback, or whether we're just getting feedback, we'll kind of start crafting some of these. In the city hall area, they call them decision packages.
Right.
So we could also call them that, but they're enhanced services. And so it's kind of a little bit of a little picking and choosing process. We couldn't probably do all of it, but we could probably do a great
Right.
amount of it. And a few of it, we did today, too. We kind of got a little bit of a
Right.
jump start with some additional hours on the community centers and some of the enhanced flower bed planning. Some of the things we made on the campaign for the sales tax, we talked about publicly, so we want to fulfill that obligation. But there'll be some choices. We'll be thinking about some things.
Sure.
That we might not have been able to do otherwise, as an
Well,
example.
Right.
yeah, and to that end, and I would also think that we would want to sort of look at, not for you to sort of do, but something that I talked to Mark about is, where do we match these things up against the sort of citizen satisfaction
Yeah.
sort of survey? Say, this is how it helps to address these sorts of things, or other things that we're just, why do we make the choice to, for enhanced services, and what way do we think that's going to help address those aspects of what we're trying to do? Because
Exactly.
ultimately, their satisfaction means ongoing sort of support, means better quality of life. It means that we're sort of doing our end of the job
Right.
that we want to sort of
Yeah.
see. So it'd be helpful, and I would encourage all of us to take a look at that information as well in the context.
Yeah.
One other piece would, even our own internal survey that we do,
Yeah,
that sort of
that's
rates
right.
ourselves, because those are two really very helpful tools. A third piece that I remember that we did some work on, which was, what do our citizens want, the work that, was it, not KCR, who did that work? Was it KU?
Well, this is the one that we're doing the youth programs.
Not just the youth, no, not the KCR one, but the other one related to, I think it was funded by the Healthcare Foundation, and
Oh,
about the
yeah.
usage of parks and
Yeah,
what people
K-State
want.
and
Oh,
NU.
right.
That's some other good
Andy
context.
and
Correct.
Sonia, the young man, the young woman came in and gave us a study. They developed that group of citizens that went out and studied the parks and came back with some stuff.
Yeah, there's some good
We have that
information on those
research,
things.
yes.
So, yeah, those things should be helpful as well.
Right. So that'll help.
Yeah, and our
Okay.
community centers are putting out those customer surveys right now
Yes.
and so we plan, to the extent that we can get that all together with the budget
Yeah.
process, but, the budget document, is a planning document. So where we, how we implement, what I want to do is make sure we cover everything that we need to cover, and we figure out what we can really afford to do. What my biggest goal is that it's sustainable.
Yes.
That whatever we do is sustainable in the long term. We don't want to kind of go off, giving everybody the world, but then we find out we can't afford to continue to do that. So, I just want to be sure that we that we can afford to do what we say we're going to do, and we actually have a plan to move forward with it.
Mark, are we going to have our shape study before then, so we can use that as a tool also?
Well,
in our deliberations?
We'll probably have a little, we're just, that person's just getting ready to start.
I doubt we'll have it.
Yeah,
Yeah,
we'll be a little
okay.
tight on the time.
All right.
I think we know a little bit from history about some of the
We
things
do.
that are needing to be addressed,
Okay.
but probably not from this new initiation of the new program.
Okay.
So the goal is to do that, like Sherry said, get something, then as we get toward the latter part of this month, have some documents you can look at. And
Very good.
we'd like to wrap it up by
Conversations.
the end of this month, first part of November.
Right.
The target for that. We will also then have meetings with the city manager and the budget staff, probably earlier part of November. I believe we have some meetings on that. And then as you go through the rest of the year, this, of course, will go from the manager to the mayor, and then we'll have opportunities to talk to the mayor and council after the first of the year about this.
And I should have mentioned, I'm sorry, that we are meeting next week, a week from tomorrow, with the city manager staff with regard to performance measures.
Right.
Kind of looking at our performance measurement tools and our plan with regard to that. So, and that we'll also use that as a springboard for addressing some of these issues in the budget, citizen satisfaction, and so forth.
I would encourage you, if you get a chance, to Casey Stat, which is the mayor's initiative, you know, he talked about during his campaign, and he was trying to model a little bit after what they did in Baltimore, Maryland. I've been the last 2 days. We were there for 2.5 hours this morning with the mayor and with all the departments going through a lot, and that's not necessarily budget related, but it can become budget related, because it talks about procedures and processes and efficiencies and all the things, just makes city government much more, well, just a finer tuned machine, you might say, as far as how things operate. So I think we pick up some of that from Casey Stat also. And all departments are zeroing in on how they can best function and flow and do some programs. And a lot of that's built around technology, and a lot of it's just simply different ways of doing business.
Yeah.
And that's good dialogue also, the aspect of improving the budget.
I know, I for one, during this situation, when we were first appointed to the board, we were told what we weren't going to be able to do in the budget that was already passed before we came on board. And then last year, we had nice plans, and we were told, well, you can't do that because we've cut you this much money. It's going to be a joy to have a budget and then have a little money and a little discretion to make some decisions based on the things we've talked
That's right.
about today. We can begin to function as an aggressive and productive Parks Board. I think we've done well with what we've been given, but we need to thank the citizens of Kansas City for giving this opportunity to really perform for the first time.
Absolutely.
Very, very much.
Thank you, Sherry.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Also, my, PIAC presentation, I know Commissioners Gromowski and Mecklenburg and Dillingham were this last week, and made our pitch to PIAC. And
Yep.
that's another critical part of our budget, which is the capital maintenance side and the capital project side. And I think, appreciate you being there. I think PIAC was pretty receptive to our.
Oh, very much so.
Of course, they only have so much money, we didn't know that. And, but we'll hear more about that as time goes on. We have a little bit of follow-up information to provide to them, which we will do that.
Great.
And they'll be in their deliberations over the winter months. And we'll be hearing more from them as far as what projects might get funded from the capital side next year.
Excellent. All right, thank you. Anything else we need to cover? You want to look at the calendar really quick? I
Calendar
think
real
it's pretty
quickly.
straightforward. That
Yeah, I
one is.
think we covered,
We don't meet again until the end of the month.
right, the 30th is our next board meeting. A couple Thursdays at Platte County Parks Partners on the 10th. Talked about NRPA, which is that week of the 15th.
Yep.
Lots of board meetings, so yeah, pretty, and then, of course, the stuff that Heidi mentioned as far as special events are concerned.
Very good. All right, and nobody listed on the public hearing, so with that, meeting is adjourned. Thank you.